Hi everyone. Thank you for staying for the last talk of the day. And I know you all are exhausted, but I hope this talk will be useful. And there's a workshop tomorrow in case you want to play around with the things you learn in this talk. So do attend that. And I'll start with a quick story. So last year I went to my cousin's place, and my niece was trying to get my cousin's attention, who was busy with some work. And she's 3 years old, and because she was not able to get her attention, she just screamed, "Hey Google." So that was quite funny and surprising that "Hey Google" is like the word which is one of the first words kids of today's generation are learning. Like before even they learn a lot of basic words, "Hey Google," "Alexa," it's like very common for them. And they think that if they call their parents, like scream like that, and they will get their work done. So that's quite something I was surprised about. So yeah, the talk is going to be about enabling voice features in your Flutter apps. So let me start with a quick intro. So my name is Akanksha Singh, and I'm a software engineer at JP Morgan. I'm a Flutter developer, and I love doing hackathons. And I'm a community person, have been part of a lot of student communities when I was in university, and still try to get involved with communities wherever possible. And yeah, that's about me. So the agenda of this talk the agenda of this talk is I'll start by answering some basic and important questions, and then I'll move on to discussing the future of voice user interface and why is it needed. And then we will look into the basic building blocks of how the voice user interface works, and after that we'll look into the implementation on the Flutter end. And yeah, that's what the talk is going to be about. And starting with the first question, what is voice user interface? As a lot of you might know, it's an interface that allows people to interact with devices with just their voice, and there's no typing involved. They don't have to touch their device. They can simply speak and get their answers and get their work done. So that's what basically a voice user interface is. And if we talk about why is it needed, so the first thing, it just makes things quicker. Stanford study says that speaking is 4 times faster than typing, and it's very efficient. You can simply speak and get things done, especially like when you want hands-free action, like when you're driving, you want your Google Assistant to help you with navigation. Maybe you're cooking something, your hands are busy chopping vegetables, and you want to know the next step of the recipe. So you can simply ask the assistant to guide you. Multilingual expansion, so there are it just voice recognition breaks all the language barriers. It makes us very accessible for people with different languages. There's support for tons of languages, and that makes it much more efficient and better. Unstoppable evolution, because the advancement in this field is continuously growing, and with this, it will just keep on evolving and growing, and voice user interface will become a way of life pretty soon. So yeah, they make it very easy for consumers by they can simply interact with the app, and yeah, these are some of the features that voice user interface offers and makes life easier. So who would it benefit and how? So we'll just look at the types of people it will benefit, and it is still benefiting. So if we talk about people with no special needs, people like me and others who don't have any special needs as such. So people like us, as I talked about, the convenience that voice user interface provides and the time we can save by doing that, and hands-free operation. So whenever we are driving, cooking, or a lot of times when we just want voice user interface to interact with. So that's one thing. We have multilingual support, which is amazing. Efficient data entry. A lot of times, people just don't know the spelling of, maybe they are looking for, like I'm here in Stockholm and I don't know Swedish. So I might have heard some phrases from someone and I want to just look into what the person said, and it will be easier for me to Google with the just the voice part of it. If somebody is talking to me, I can in the real time I can translate it and understand what they're saying. And it's entertainment and information. So we all use Spotify, we all use a lot of assistants and just ask them to play music for us, turn on the TV, change the channels, increase the volume and stuff like that. So that makes it very easy. And the social media interaction, we can simply ask our assistant to check our notifications. Maybe there's a friend request that we want to accept, but we don't have our phones with us right now, and we just got a notification. We can simply ask the assistant to do that for us. So those are kind of things that people with no special needs, like voice user interface, helps them. But if we talk about people with special needs, so if we talk about people who are visually impaired, so a blind user can ask voice assistant to read a web page. They can search for content online, and they can even navigate through the app very easily if they have a voice user interface. So people with motor disabilities, so using voice commands to maybe control a wheelchair, and people with limited mobility can even navigate their environment independently. They can use the voice user interface to do a lot of things that people with no special needs can easily do. So voice user interface will make their life a lot easier. If we talk about cognitive disabilities, so just receiving a voice prompt about taking medicines for people who have some cognitive impairment, they can simply get their daily tasks done if they have an assistant to help them, who can remind them of things and stuff like that. And the aging population, so elderly can easily put their reminders, medicine reminders, and a lot of seniors can maintain independence if they have a assistant, or it can definitely ease their life, not make the like they definitely need somebody to look after them, but having a voice user interface will definitely make their life a lot easier. For example, like my grandmother, she doesn't even own a phone because she finds it hard to even type and just even to call somebody. So for people like her, it will be very easy to just use an assistant and just say, call my granddaughter and stuff like that. So for aging population, it's very beneficial as well. So these are, and the neurological conditions as well. So people who have a cerebral palsy or ALS, they can use voice user interface to interact with people and also get their needs fulfilled by communicating using this interface. So those are some of the types of audience that voice user interface can target. It just it not only includes people with special needs, but it also includes people who have no special needs, and it just makes everyone's life a lot easier. So if we talk about the future of a voice user interface, so the speech, there's a rapid market growth. It's continuously evolving. Speech and voice interface market sector is on track to hit $24.9 billion by 2025. And that's a lot. So, and integration in everyday life, so it will play a more significant role. Right now, we already have devices that can control our smart homes, turning on lights, turning on TVs and stuff like that. But as we move ahead, they're gonna be more and more involved in our lives in terms of smart homes, cars, healthcare, and even in public spaces. And the advanced natural language processing, as it is continuously evolving, um, the devices will be able to understand the context, nuances, and everything a lot easier. So this will make the assistants more conversational and intuitive. So this will also help. The voice user interface will continue to play a very important role in enhancing the accessibility and inclusivity. So those are some of the things that the voice user interface, the future of the voice user interface holds. And yeah, let's talk about the building blocks of any of these voice user interfaces and how they work. So the first thing that these voice user interfaces have is a wake word, which is a word especially for that assistant. Like for Google Assistant, it is Hey Google, Okay Google, and for Siri, it's Hey Siri, for Alexa. So these are the wake words. When these devices and assistants listen to these words, they get to know that the user is gonna ask something. So when the wake word is detected, the device or the assistant, it starts listening, and then the speech is converted to text, and the string then is passed through a natural language processing algorithm, and that gets the context about like what the user wants, and after getting the intent, it is passed through the business logic, and then whatever the result is, whatever the answer is going to be, that is converted from text to speech and is given to the user. So that's basically how most of these assistants, I mean, these are the things that goes in the background. So yeah, that's the building block of any of the assistant. Now, if we talk about how we want to implement something like this in Flutter, so how we can have voice features in Flutter. So there are three ways we can enable voice features in Flutter. Either we can use an existing platform. So if we use an existing platform like Google Assistant, Siri, we can integrate these platforms with these platforms and do a lot of things in our Flutter apps. Another way will be using packages. So there are a lot of existing packages that one can use. There are plugins like Alan AI that we're gonna look into today. There are packages for converting speech to text, text to speech, that can be used for building these conversational assistants. And yeah, these are some of the packages that are available. And the last way to build something like this is to completely build it from scratch. You can look into existing, or you can make your own APIs. You can build over the existing NLP models. And this way you will have a more customized solution based on the business requirements. So yeah, these are the three ways in which you can enable voice features in Flutter. And we're gonna look into some of them today. So the first one is, if we see, either you can enable voice features inside your app, and that will help you in navigating different screens and doing different tasks inside your app. Or you can control your app from outside, which is using Google Assistant or any of the other assistants. So these are two ways, and we will look into each of them. So if we want to control our app from inside, so we need to build something like a assistant inside our app. So for that, I will be going through the Alan AI. So it makes it a lot easier to integrate an assistant inside your app, and we'll look into some of the examples and how it works as well. So yeah, so the first step if you want to have a Alan AI assistant inside your app, is to writing script in the Alan Studio, and I'll show you quickly how it looks like. So this is Alan's website, and you just sign up there, you create a project, and when you create a project, you will have a screen like this, where this part that is highlighted, this is where you write the code or the commands. And the next part is the debugging chat, where you can test if the commands that you wrote will work the way they should. So this is what that looked like. And if you want to have it in Flutter, so as for most of the packages, what the first step is to add the dependency and import the package. And the important step here is adding the Allen button. So with this button, you will have the like a similar to Google Assistant button, like you will have a button inside your app and you can give it commands and then it will respond accordingly. So just an example of the code or like the commands and how they are given. So here you can see the like the hello world command. So here the intent function takes hello world. So when the user says hello world, the next line p dot play, it means that the Allen will respond as hello or hi there. So this is basically how it works. Like the intent takes the user input and the play function is the response of Allen assistant. So yeah, and if you see this one here, if I say my first name is this, or I can pass any value, and then the assistant will get the first name from here using the JSON that we pass here. So the text here will be p dot first name dot value, which is the first name given by the user, and then it will just say thank you and the user's name. So here we can test. We have a debugging chat in the SDK in their platform, so we can just simply check if it's working the way it is, like it should. So if I say my first name is Emma, then it will identify as the first name, and it will just tell me that it was able to do that. So after writing these commands and the responses, if on the Flutter end, what we need to do is the first step was adding that button. So after you have added that button, you can write the handle command function, which will handle all the commands. So I'll show this demo for this one. So here I have created like written functions for getting the first name, the last name, address, and phone number. So it's a very simple code. So what it does is when the user gives their first name, last name, address, and it's just for filling the form. So this will be handling, and I'll play this. Will it be audible? My first name is Emma. Is it audible? No. Is there another mic? Maybe I can try. My first name is Emma.
Your first name is Emma.
My last name is Watson.
Thank you. Your last name is Watson.
My address is 280 St. George's Road.
You address as 280 St. George Road.
My phone number is 346 579 8892.
Your phone number is 346-579-8892. Thanks.
Yeah, so that was just a basic example of like how a person can fill the form, which makes it a lot easier for just instead of typing, they can simply say those things. And as you must have noticed, like it's very specific. My first name is this, and the pattern. But in Alan, like you can also have multiple instances or the way user would say or how the Alan assistant would respond. So you can have different patterns, and it is trained on natural language like algorithms. So it will be able to identify easily the context. So that was just a quick example of filling the forms, and move to the next slide. So it was pretty easy to do it with this plugin. And what else can we do with it? Let's look at some other examples. So if you want to call functions inside your app with the assistant, so if you say do something on the screen, so suppose increment the basic incrementing the Flutter app. Increment the counter. Is that audible? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it'll just increment the counter. So that's the basic calling functions. You can call any function inside the app using the assistant. Um, uh, so this one is also pretty simple, just based on the, like, if the command is incrementing or decrementing, it will just handle accordingly. And this is on how you will write it in Allen. And another example I had was voice routing. So if you want to switch screens, you want to go to menu or any other like just switching and routing. So that's also an example of how it can be done. So I'll just quickly show the code maybe. Yeah, so the code for this is also very simple. It's just going forward and backward for this example, but you can navigate to different screens and menus. And this is how it should be on Allen. So here you can see when I say, can you go back or go back to home screen. So these are just a multiple ways of saying what the user wants to say, and then it'll just go back. So those are some of the commands. And if we talk about the features, the voice commands also have like customizable slots for user inputs. So it's easier to get the exact user input and get the context of what the user wants to say. And um, also, it allows a seamless data sharing between the voice assistant and the application. So you can share the data from Allen to your app and from your app to Allen, and just you can just do whatever you want to do with that data. And it's compatible with various development platforms. It's it's is for like React and Flutter, and it's for a lot of other frameworks as well. So yeah, other packages that one can explore for this is Pico Voice. There's Flutter text to speech and speech to text that one can use. The Google Speech, Whisper Dart. So yeah, these are some of the other packages. So that was how you enable voice features inside your app. Now, if we want to talk about outside the app, if you want to control your app from outside, so I would like to discuss actions, like app actions, which makes it easier to integrate Flutter apps with Google Assistant. So if we see like the how the Google Assistant works is when the user gives the query, order a pizza from example app. So it goes to Google Assistant, then it processes the user input, and there's it recognizes the intent, and then it fulfills from the intent whatever it gets, the fulfills the query, user's query. So if the Flutter comes here, we can use method channels to communicate what we want. The similar way we do in Android, we can just do the same thing in Flutter as well. And yeah, these are some of the companies that already use Google Assistant. So it just makes user experience a lot better if you can simply ask Google Assistant. Maybe a lot of times you don't have access to your phone, and you can have your smart device that you can give a command to, and it can do things for you. So yeah, some of the terminologies to start with. For app actions. So intent is a goal or the task that user wants to do, such as ordering coffee or finding a piece of music. So um, intent can be set an alarm at for 7 a.m., order something from Amazon, turn on the lights, tell me today's weather forecast. So these are all the intents or the goal or the task that user wants assistant to do. And there are built-in intents from Google. So there are a lot of built-in intents. So they have like they are trained on phrases, and they trigger the action associated with these intents. So you can also create your custom intents as well, but there are a lot of built-in intents that you can explore, and it will be easier for you to integrate those. And if we talk about the capability, so declaring a built-in intent as a capability registers the support for the semantic intent in your app. So whenever you say your app has a capability of doing something, it means that your app can understand the context and can respond to it. So that's what basically capability means. And then we have fulfillment. So fulfillment is basically the logic that handles an intent, and it carries out the corresponding action. So, and then the entity, which is just a representation of a real world object. And yeah, those are some of the basic terminologies in when we talk about Google App Actions. So we'll have a look at the code and some walkthrough, so it will make it easier for you to understand. The prerequisite of integrating Google Assistant with your Flutter app is to have a Google Play account. And you need to have the latest version of Android Studio, and the Google ID that you use for Google Play account should be also signed in Android Studio as well. And you need a physical device or a virtual device, and the app actions test tool. So there's a test tool that you can use to test it if you don't want to like do it right away in your physical device. So it's like a 5-step process. The first step is to identify the in-app functionality that you want to trigger, and it's matching built-in intent if it exists. And if it doesn't exist, and you want to create one, then you can do that as well. The next step after identifying the functionality that you want to trigger is to provide the fulfillment details for the built-in intent. The next step after this is to push the shortcuts for your app action to the assistant, and then you can preview your app actions on a test device, and you can create a test release and request app actions review and deployment. So it's like a 5-step process. To start with, I'm just going to take an example of a simple built-in intent, which is open app feature. So as you can see, it is just for using it is used for launching the app, and you can see the language support. So if you explore all the built-in intents, you can see the locale support and example queries. So here you can see open YouTube history and open example app example feature. So it's for opening the app, and also if you want to navigate to some other screen. And the step one in this process, if you want to use this built-in intent, is to create a shortcuts.xml file inside your Android resource folder. So you need to create an XML folder and create a shortcuts.xml file. And this is what code for that would XML would look like for that shortcuts.xml file. So here you can see we have a capability, which is open app feature intent. So it is just to link and tell the assistant that this open app feature intent is linked to Android, and this will be triggered when the Android intent, like this will be triggered when the assistant is given a command. So assistant then passes the built-in intent parameters to fulfillment intent, and that's defined in the capability. The next part which you can see here is to match the query that the user has given. So here we have the capability binding and the parameter binding. So if you want to just open YouTube, you can simply have YouTube, but if you want to open history in YouTube, so this is where it just matches what feature you want to access, or like what parameter it is linked to. So this is, yeah, that is what the shortcuts.xml would look like. The step two in this process is to configure your Android manifest.xml. And here, what you need to do is to add your shortcuts.xml link so that it knows that there's a file. And then you also need to add the intent filter. And yeah, that's the second step. So first step was to create the shortcuts.xml and create the capabilities and the intent. Just attach the intent. And the second step was to configure the Android manifest. And the third step is handling the intent. So for handling the intent, we will be going to our main activity.kt, so in the Kotlin file. So here we create some features, some method channels to get the intent, and also then we can just call them in our Flutter code. So that will just like if we want to open our example app and some other menu or some other screen in the example app, so then we can use these method channels to do that. So yeah, that's basically all the steps that are involved in integrating a built-in intent in your Flutter apps. And now that you have created that, now you can test your action. So for testing, you need to have this app actions test tool, and you can get it from here. And the app actions test tool, it looks something like this. So for using this, the important thing is that your app needs to exist on Google Play Store. So even if it's not published, you can put the release version there, and you can use that. So before testing, you need to do that. And you also need to be logged into Android Studio and Google Play with the same Google account, so that it knows that your app is linked to the Google Assistant. So those are the important points for testing your app action. And yeah, so that's basically what it was about. So you saw how you can have voice features enabled inside your app, and how you can then have something from the outside. So same for if you want for iOS, there's Siri shortcuts that you can explore to you like open your app or do things using Siri. So if I just go through the recap, so what we discussed today was what is voice user interface, why we need it, and who needs it, and that included not just people with special needs, but people with no special needs, and because it just makes everyone's life easier. We saw the building block of voice user interface and ways to enable it in Flutter. So we can integrate with an existing platform, we can use packages, or we can just simply build everything from scratch. Then if we want to control inside, want to have voice control inside the app, then we saw Alan AI examples. And if we want to have voice control from outside, so we can have app actions for Android and Siri shortcuts for Siri for iOS. So yeah, that was a quick recap of the talk. And just to conclude, I would say the voice user interface will become a way of life, and it will be used a lot more than it is being used today. And it not only eases lives of people with special needs, but also in general, everyone's life is eased by reducing the cognitive burden that comes with typing. And the important thing is that not all the apps need assistant or a voice feature, but having some of the voice features can definitely improve the user experience. So yeah, that's my take on voice in Flutter. And these are some of the resources. When I share the slides later, you can go through some of them if you want to. And yeah, there's a workshop tomorrow, so if you want to play around with what you learned today, so we'll be discussing that, and we'll be building something cool. So yeah, do join that. And that was all for this talk. Thank you, and yeah.
Thank you. Very nice. That makes me want to build a voice control flame game. That would be cool. So I think we only have time with one question, and that's from David. Do you have any idea what Alan costs? Because I can only find a free plan and an enterprise plan with an unknown cost on the web.
Okay, I think I didn't look much into pricing, but I think for basic functionalities, it should be easier. Sorry, but I really didn't look into the pricing models. So
Yeah. Makes sense. We can take another question from Bornold. Is integration with Google Nest easy, if you know?
for Google Nest, I think you need to make apps for Google Nest, Flutter apps for Google Nest, which from what I know is, from what I saw, like, or what I researched, I didn't find any ways for that. So this is basically Google Assistant on mobile apps. So if you are using, like, for Android, you can use Google Assistant, but I don't think for, as of now, I don't think there's support for building for Nest or Home.
All right, thank you.